Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Ryan Simmons, and today I want to talk to you about how to develop your team. So team development is important, and I'm not really talking about the group right now, I'm talking about the individuals. If you're trying to develop the individuals within your group or team, I find it very important to have a nice couple of ground rules, foundational things down so that you're doing the right thing. So this advice is not really for seasoned managers or leaders. It's more for the people who are getting into the management for the first time, or maybe you just haven't had an opportunity to help your people develop, and this is your first opportunity. So the reason I'm going over this is not because I think you're stupid, because I don't. But what I find is that many managers, especially first-time managers, are really great at operational aspects of the position, because that's usually why you got hired into that position. You're really great at the operational stuff. Where people tend to stumble is when it comes to the development. If you're in finance, you weren't trained in how to do gap analysis and competency analyses and try to fill in what needs to be filled in. That wasn't part of your job. Your job was something else, and that's okay. Everyone here should be comfortable in trying to get some kind of help and trying to do a little bit more outside of what maybe they're able to do by themselves. And this leads me to tip number one. If you have an HR function that has an organizational development component to it, has any kind of learning and development component to it, you need to go and talk to those people because they are experts in trying to develop the people in your organization. Usually this is the first step because getting that expertise is helpful, not just for you, it helps your employees because maybe they're not comfortable talking to you about their own personal development. It could be that somebody wants to maybe move out of your area and doesn't want to tell you. Having a third party when it comes to development can be very, very beneficial, but not everyone has that luxury. Smaller businesses don't function with an OD department or an LD department. So here comes tip number two. If you don't have an LD department, learning and development, or an organizational development department, I want you to at least have a conversation with your staff individually about their career path. This is a great step too for anybody who's even engaging in those other services and within your organization, because it's nice to know where people want to go if they want to tell you. You can help direct the right projects to them or the right work towards them if you know where they want to go, because that'll help them gain the skills and experience to get to that next step. Keep in mind that not everyone's going to be open, and that's okay. Whatever those people want to tell you, go ahead and write it down for your own notes so that you can do the best you can to help them build the skills, knowledge, and abilities to do that next thing. When you're having these conversations, I do have a couple of suggestions. Number one, don't have it in your office, don't have it in their office. You want to pick a neutral ground. If you have a cafe or there's a coffee shop nearby, you might want to suggest that you go to that place and buy a cup of coffee, buy a soda, do something to just make it more of a casual conversation, because none of this is punitive. This isn't happening because they did a bad job, and you don't want to give them that sense. The other thing is, while you're taking notes, you may want to note any gaps after the conversation, because doing it during the conversation could lead towards some judgment that you really don't want to be putting on that person. Noting gaps is important, and it's actually one of the things you're going to want to do for one of the next few steps. So the next thing to do is to find the resources. Now, when I talk about resources, I'm talking about finding some classes that are being run within your organization or that people are already going to. The next one is finding grants or just finding money to be able to send people off towards their development. It's so much easier when you have money to give for that person to go off and take their development as they need it. One of the problems organizations have out there is that people need to develop, but they don't have the money to do so. They don't have reimbursements, or they're not really putting the funds back into developing their employees. Maybe they're not able to, maybe it's just part of the strategy. Another thing is you're gonna have to give that person the time off. So make sure that you're talking with that person when they do find whatever class or certification they want to get, that they actually have the time off to go get that. This could also include time off for testing. Just make sure the workload isn't heavy right before they leave, that somebody's taking over while they're gone, and that the workload isn't heavy when they come back. Development shouldn't be punitive. By having heavy workloads on either side or not having somebody to take over while that person is gone, that creates a punitive environment. The last thing you're going to need, give that person a space to apply the knowledge. One of the big problems I see in learning and development and organizational development in general is that as soon as somebody goes off to a course, everyone wants to know what they learned when they come back. Unfortunately, people aren't always given the space to apply that knowledge once they do get back. So you can't solidify what you've learned. And of course, the further away you are from whatever training or certification you got, the less you remember. Let's make a space for these people to apply soon and apply as much as they can. The last piece is actually a little bit of homework for that person that wants that development. You need them to go search out what kind of classes, what kind of development efforts would they like to be a part of to develop themselves. Again, sometimes this is a course, sometimes it's a certificate program, sometimes it's just the experience to have in the workplace. Hopefully you're able to facilitate one of those. So development of your employees does require you to have a certain mentality about development. Just because you're putting time and money into this person does not necessarily mean they'll run off. In fact, what we find is usually the opposite. If you do not put money and effort back into developing that employee, they will likely leave. By giving opportunities for people to learn and grow within your organization, you're building engagement in the work, but you're also building loyalty. We always want to be developing our people in such a way where they move up, they don't move out. And if they move out, it's only because we've done a fantastic job. If people move out, we want them to move out because they've been doing a fantastic job, and it's possible they just don't have the opportunity to grow still within our organization. We're trying to build positivity within the organization, within your group, so that people, when they leave, it's a positive experience. Not everyone that leaves an organization leaves because you've been doing a bad job. There's lots of reasons people leave, and one of them is that they develop to a point where maybe they found a better fit somewhere else. All right, well, that was just the beginning to developing your people. This was not very in-depth. This was not comprehensive. There's so much more that we can talk about, like competency modeling and trying to get people in that have the right skills, abilities, and knowledge. So again, there are more videos to do on this topic, more in-depth videos to do on this topic. But if you're a first-time manager and you got questions, do go ahead and put them down in the comments. If you like the video, please do go ahead and like. If you like the series, and I suggest that you just flip through some of the videos, go ahead and subscribe. So until next time, my name is Dr. Ryan Simmons. I'll see you later.